They taught you how to trade. They gave you indicators, risk management rules, psychology lessons, and strategies that sounded sophisticated enough to make you feel like you finally understood the market. They made you believe that with discipline, patience, and the right mindset, you could master this game. But what if the real game isn't in the charts, or in the patterns, or even in the money? What if the real game is in you? What if every lesson you've ever been taught about controlling risk and managing emotions was never designed to help you win, but to make you predictable enough for someone else to profit off your moves? Smart money's favorite strategy isn't about manipulating price. It's about managing belief. They've built an entire ecosystem that thrives on your sense of control. Because the more you believe you're acting independently, the easier it is to guide you. You're not being controlled by force. You're being directed by design. Every educational post, every trading wisdom quote, every motivational tweet telling you to stay disciplined, it all sounds noble, but it builds a pattern in your behavior. And patterns are predictable. Predictability is liquidity. Liquidity is profit. You've been told to trust the system, not the one you trade in, but the one that trained you to trade. Think of how trading education works. Thousands of retail traders consuming the same playbooks, following the same candle formations, learning the same risk management ratios. Everyone taught to wait for confirmation. Everyone told to buy support and sell resistance. Everyone warned not to chase. And so, when the market moves, you all react the same way, with the same timing, the same fear, the same hesitation. You see a breakout. You wait for a retest. You enter after confirmation, and you think you're playing it smart. But the price doesn't care about your patience. It rewards the one who knows where your patience ends. That's the real setup. They taught you how to wait so they know when you'll move. They taught you how to use stop losses so they know where to find them. They told you to set fixed risk-reward ratios so they know how much pressure you can tolerate. You think these are your rules. They're not. These are the boundaries of your behavior. You think you're managing risk, but they're managing you. And that's the brilliance of this strategy. It's invisible. Nobody forced you to believe these things. You came to them willingly. You studied. You practiced. You earned your discipline. You feel intelligent, refined, professional. You've been trained to think that emotional control equals success. But the truth is, your emotional control has been commodified. Your calmness has been priced in. The system thrives on structured behavior, and what better way to structure it than by teaching you the structure yourself? The beauty of this trap is that it doesn't require deception. It requires education. It gives you control over the small things while ensuring the big things remain unseen. You decide when to enter and when to exit, but the price decides how your decisions will be used. You're told that randomness is your enemy. But real randomness would destroy their control. The market isn't random. It's orchestrated chaos, guided by mathematics and mass psychology, powered by your predictable reaction to both. Every chart you stare at, every moving average you tweak, every Fibonacci level you trust, it's all part of the architecture of belief. The interface, the dashboards, the alerts, they aren't built to make you better. They're built to make you feel better. It's gamified discipline. The dopamine of a perfect setup, the pride of a disciplined loss, the validation of following your plan. These are emotional loops. You've been conditioned to find satisfaction not in profit, but in obedience. You feel good when you lose correctly. You feel proud when you follow the rules. You feel wise when you walk away from a volatile market. And in all of this, you're playing your part exactly as designed. The moment you start feeling safe, you're not a trader anymore. You're a resource, a behavioral resource. And that's what smart money trades against. They don't trade price. They trade human behavior modeled at scale. You've heard the term liquidity hunt, but what you don't realize is that it's not just stop losses they're hunting. It's certainty. Your certainty that the pattern will repeat. Your certainty that your emotions are under control. Your certainty that you finally get it. The market is designed to make sure your certainty becomes currency for someone else. Every retail trader believes they're different. Every one of them believes they'll outsmart the herd. But the moment you think differently within the same framework, you're still in the framework. The illusion of independence is the strongest control mechanism ever created. It's not about suppressing your individuality, it's about letting you express it in predictable ways. That's how smart money engineers volatility. They don't need to manipulate price every time, they just manipulate attention. Have you ever noticed how education in trading is always marketed as take control? Every mentor, every course, every strategy promises control over risk, over emotion, over randomness. But here's the paradox. True control never needs to be sold. The moment it's being sold, it's already lost. You're not buying control, you're buying confidence. And confidence is the single most monetizable product in the market. The system sells it to you, the brokers leverage it, and the institutions collect it. Because confidence without real control leads to consistent participation, and consistent participation generates liquidity. You keep showing up, you keep entering trades, you keep learning, and they keep using your reactions as the raw material for their algorithms. You're not losing money because you're stupid. You're losing it because you're reliable. They know when you'll panic. They know when you'll FOMO in. They know when you'll double down because the setup is perfect. That's why they let education flow freely, because knowledge doesn't threaten control when the system defines what knowledge is. So why doesn't anyone question it? Because questioning feels unsafe. The entire framework of trading discipline is built around comfort, a sense of structure in chaos. If you remove that structure, you remove identity. That's why retail traders cling to their rules like religion, even when those rules keep them small. You'll rarely see anyone question the foundation. You'll see endless debates about indicators, entry confirmations, and risk ratios, but never about the architecture of belief behind them. It's not about whether a system works, it's about whether you were meant to think it could. And every time you think you've discovered something new, the market humbles you gently, precisely, efficiently. That's not coincidence. That's design. You're not being punished for being wrong. You're being reset into compliance. Think about how many times you've improved as a trader, how you've refined your discipline, your patience, your ability to control emotion, and yet your results remain the same. You're doing everything right, but nothing changes. That's not failure. That's containment. The system rewards growth just enough to keep you hopeful, but not enough to free you. You might win sometimes, maybe even a lot, but never in a way that threatens the structure. You can succeed, but only within the limits of the ecosystem they designed. And that's how they sustain it, by letting you believe in your agency. You are the data, the liquidity, the behavioral feedback loop. You're not just reacting to the market. You are the market, and they're the ones shaping the narrative around it. Smart money doesn't need to fight you anymore. You've already aligned yourself with their system. Every time you think you're taking control, you're actually reinforcing it. You manage your emotions, you cut losses, you follow structure, and all the while, your behavior becomes data. They extract value not by beating you, but by guiding you into self-sustained conformity. And that's why their strategy is so powerful. Because it doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like mastery. It feels like you're evolving, learning, improving. But in reality, you're becoming the most efficient version of yourself for them. A disciplined trader who never questions the framework. A participant who never stops believing. There's a reason smart money rarely educates, because they don't need to. Retail education does it for them. It conditions you to think that the market is an enemy you can conquer through self-control. But in truth, the market is a mirror. It reflects every weakness that's been designed into your mindset. You're not fighting price, you're fighting programming. And as long as you believe the solution lies in refining the same system, you'll stay within the loop. You'll mistake discipline for freedom, consistency for progress, and patience for power. The system doesn't need to stop you. It just needs to keep you improving inside its boundaries. The greatest illusion isn't that you can't win. It's that you can, occasionally, enough to feel competent, enough to stay engaged, enough to keep believing that next time it'll all make sense. That's how smart money wins, not through domination, but through design. They've built a structure where you're free to act, but your freedom serves their pattern. You think you're trading markets, but what you're really trading is belief. The belief that you can master what was never meant to be mastered. The belief that education equals empowerment. The belief that control is possible. And the deeper you go, the more you invest in protecting that belief. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Smart money's favorite strategy isn't about taking your money. It's about taking your mind. Because once they manage how you think, how you react, and what you believe, your capital follows naturally. You become the liquidity they design around. You become the market's rhythm. You become the system's logic. And all the while, you believe you're in control. That's the art. That's the genius. That's why education is the new manipulation, because it doesn't look like control. It looks like self-improvement. It feels like freedom. But it's not. If this made you rethink everything you thought you knew about trading, hit that like button, share this with someone who still believes they're in control, and subscribe to Profit Pulse. Because the more you see how the game really works, the less the game can use you. Stay sharp, stay aware, and never stop questioning who wrote the rules you follow.